Get going live. Hey, welcome to the first layer. Ask for help. My name's Richard. You know this guy. And that guy over there is Brian Baker. He's feeling a little tired today. He kind of looks like I feel in the morning and late at night.
Wait, was that a gorilla or was I Tim Allen?
You were a gorilla. You're a gorilla.
Everybody, good morning, good afternoon now. It's officially afternoon.
I'm going to apologize in advance for Brian's audio. He's got a bit of a weak connection today, so just bear with us. If it sounds like he's underwater, we apologize. Let's say hi to some people in the chat today. We got Joseph Jolly, Rex Waldy, Photomaniana, or Ann. We'll just call you Ann. Dominic Versetto, Gary T, and Andrew Osmond are all in our chat today. If you want to have some questions answered or you want to participate a little bit, please join our chat, and we'd love to have you. Now, this is our first real live stream back for the second half of the year. Brian and I had a pretty rough beginning to the year, and I want to thank DeWitt 3D for my new hat that I'm wearing today. We had a pretty rough beginning to the year, so we apologize for not being around more and not doing the content that you guys have come to know from us, but other priorities had to take precedence over doing our live streams and being as active in the community as we have been. So, but that is now mostly behind us, right, Brian?
Sure. Yeah. Yes, actually. Yes. I had to think about that. It has been almost 7 months.
Almost, yeah. So we are back. Yeah. We're here to stay. We're not going anywhere. With any great amount of luck, we'll be doing stuff. You'll see that this is a kind of a new view. This is kind of the same view you get when I do videos. I've been doing a lot of rearranging here, but we're not done yet. That's still all coming. Hello to Ben, Morgan, and 3D Medic Vince. Good morning or good afternoon to wherever you are. You'll notice I've got a bunch of Ninja Tech. We're going to talk about that today. We're going to answer your questions about 3D printing. I do want to point out that we have a new sponsor for the channel. And full disclosure, I actually work for this company now as an employee. I am their product specialist. That company is filaments.ca. So we will be only dealing with products that come from filaments.ca unless we're doing a comparison video to products that are of equal manufacture or equal science content. So I just want to let you know that you're going to see a lot of filaments.ca on this channel. I'm also producing videos over on the filaments.ca YouTube channel. I've got a video coming out this coming Friday, part one of dealing with, where did I put it all? Stuff like this, bed adhesion. So we're going to be talking about that.
That's right.
What's that?
The bane of our existence.
Yes, it seems to be the bane of a lot of people's existence. So we're going to be talking, or I'm going to be talking about part one of the different types of commercially available bed adhesion products that you can purchase, and then in part two we're going to go into a practical use of them. And as far as this Ninja Tech goes, let me just switch cameras real quick to the Ninja Tech.
Yeah, because it's totally cut off on your side-by-side.
There we go. All right, hang on, Brian. You're muted again. I don't know why you get muted all the time when I switch cameras, but we'll get there.
And computer. I think it's Richard.
It could be, because he never stops talking.
Way back in 1895, I started 3D printing, and long story short, it was my 5th birthday, and that's how we did 3-hour live streams.
That's right. So I've got a bunch of Ninja Tech here. As you can see, there's Cheetah. There is. I have to look at some of these. There's Cheetah TPU. There is Armadillo TPU. And there is, that one's cheated as well. And there is NinjaFlex TPU. Now, I honestly don't know what the difference is between all three of these, but I believe that we are going to do something with them. And we are going to do something very special with them. But I want you guys to let me know what you think we should be doing with these. Smash that like button. Thank you very much, Morgan. You're right. Smash that like button. Leave a comment at the end of the show. We've got a bunch of new stuff coming up. Brian and I found a bunch of these, and let me just switch cameras again. I found a bunch of these 7-inch touchscreens in my collection of crap as I was cleaning things up. You can see I put this one into a case, but I have two more of them. They can be used with Raspberry Pis, and we are going to do some projects with these. Brian and I haven't decided what we're going to do with them yet, but we are going to do something with them.
Yeah, because, and for those of you who don't know, I mean, these screens are great for USB portable monitors, but as the technology changes, it gets better and better. I've got a little, 4K one here, a Pretchan, or whatever you want to call it there. This thing, I use that on the go for work, and now all my old USB monitors, I love to use them for various hobby projects. So Richard and I have been brainstorming on some mini monitor ideas, and hopefully we will have something really cool soon to show. Biggest thing, and I haven't checked, is if the Raspberry Pi issues for supply chain are getting any better or worse. The last Pi I bought here about 3 weeks ago, this is the 2 gig Pi 4, and I paid a premium of $100 that I impulse bought on the spot because they were in stock. So, it's fun to do little monitor projects when these screens are getting cheaper and cheaper, but if you have nothing to drive it, well, it's really just a screen at that point. So, I'm curious in the chat for, everybody that's outside of Maple Land on the post celebration day, and maybe for our pre-celebration day friends south of the border, what are your supply chain looking like right now for Raspberry Pi and other things like that? Is it getting better? Let us know in the chat.
The other thing I want to bring up is we've been talking a lot about, and if you looked over on our Facebook, I put up a poll about what would you guys like to see on the show. We have, between Brian and I, we have a CNC router that will do aluminum, if I'm not mistaken. It'll do certain thickness of aluminum.
Yeah.
We have the laser from 002R that we got a couple of years ago now. We've got 3D printers, FDM and resin printers that we can make use of. We have electronics projects. I'm getting deeper and deeper into electronics. I'm learning a lot more about coding. I took some of the time that I had to learn a lot more about coding. So I've got a little bit more experience there. We're going to have a bunch of guests coming on very soon. I'm going to be guest on Tim's show, Tim DeWitt 3D, coming up. We were going to be going to Maker Faire this month up in Edmonton. Unfortunately, things didn't work out as well as we had hoped, and none of us are going. Tim, myself, or Brian. So we are staying right here. But we did do Maker Faire back in May, correct, Brian?
Yes. Oh my gosh, was that May?
That was May already, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, we did that. We did that. They were there all weekend. Saw a lot of friendly faces we haven't seen in a while there. Had a great old time. Maker Faire, it's kind of coming back, and it sounds like it's not as much of a pain dealing with all the licensing as it once was, shall we say. So it's really good to see, the community out there, and we met a lot of interesting people on various disciplines, a lot of charitable foundations, frankly, and a lot of things that, we're a technology-centric group when it comes to making stuff, but, going back to old things like looms and even just, young guys going and tinkering around with computers like I would, 15, 20 years ago. It was a good time. If you have a local Maker Faire opportunity in your area, send some money their way, go out and check out the show. It's a fun afternoon.
It is. It's an amazing afternoon. One of the things you might notice in the background here that we have is a little clock going with the date and the time. It's also telling us what our subscriber count is. So I have another one right here that is going to be going to Brian, but he has to make a case for it.
Okay.
This one is for the first layer. It's already set up for the first layer. Just have to change his Wi-Fi information so that he can use it, and he can have it in the background of his show, or when he's on screen. So I made this one for Brian. I made that one for me, and I have a very special surprise coming up in a few weeks. So we'll be talking more about these. This was a cool project. Do you guys want to see how we did this project? Just give us a yes in the comments there if you want to see how we did the counter and what we used. These are just 4-panel LED matrix that you can buy, and I've added a Wemos Wi-Fi to the back, and it's actually really cool. I'm really interested. Just typing a question about the counter. So a lot of people want to know about the counter. Okay. Howdy to DeWitt 3D. We are going to, I'm wearing my DeWitt 3D hat. Brian's not wearing his, I don't think. No, he's not.
No, it's in a bag right upstairs. I will wear it next time for sure. I love that hat.
I do too. So we will do a project on this. You guys will get to see this. Another thing that I have recently built, I didn't design, I didn't do anything with, but I did build it. And I'm going to grab it right now. Brian, keep them entertained. Do a song, do a dance. I'll be right back.
Various projects. Printers have been in various states. I've been helping a few friends out with their printers. It's been a busy time. Geez, you give me like 5 seconds, and I think I screwed out something. You got something to throw us at least?
I do.
Broke my train of thought with how quick you moved there.
Oh, well, I may be old and fat, but I still have some moves. So, as many of you guys know, I'm obsessed with robots. Brian knows I'm obsessed with robots. Tim knows I'm obsessed with robots. And I'm now obsessed with Maker Faire. So this is a dancing Maker Faire robot. He's not programmed at the moment, and I haven't put his battery in so he can be autonomous, but he does move. He's got little servos in his arms, little servos in his feet, and he's got servo in his head so he can turn his head. This is a model that is freely available online. I can't remember the artist's name, but this is part of the Otto DIY robot project. And if you're not familiar, it's OTTO DIY. And you can look it up online. And I got to tell you, when I found this, I was like a 5-year-old again. I went, this is exactly what I want to build. So he's all together. I just have to do some programming to him and add his battery, and then he is going to be an autonomous little dancing makey robot from Maker Faire. For anybody that doesn't know, Gary and I, Gary's in the chat as well, Gary T. We are both on the committee for next year's Maker Faire here in Calgary. We're trying to make it bigger and better, and hopefully that we can get some of you guys from around the country or around the continent in North America to come and visit with us and see what our show is all about, and maybe get a few surprises from a Canadian perspective in making. What do you think, Brian?
Absolutely. I couldn't say it better myself.
I like some of these comments that are coming in. Hello, Richard and Brian at the first layer. Tim, DeWitt, Canada. 3D electronics products from Dominic are cool. Good to see you guys again, Brian. Jim Pearson, hello. Thank you very much. Your outpouring of love is wonderful. DeWitt, we're going to get you. We're going to see if we can't get you on the committee as well, because Brian or DeWitt, Tim wants to volunteer for next year's Maker Faire as well. Hey, the Apprentice 2021 is here. Hello. We got a lot of Jim Earson. Hello. Holy cow, we've got a lot of people here. But I do want to let you guys know that we've got a lot of projects coming your way this year, and we're really excited about it. Brian and I are trying to coordinate our time here in Calgary when we can get together. He is still traveling a little bit from time to time. Maybe you can allude a little bit more on that with your job, Brian?
Yeah, it's not nearly as much travel as it was with the previous company, but as you guys know, in the automation industry, a lot of turnover work happens over the summer, and so luckily I'm not in a role anymore where I am basically commissioning new things every couple of weeks, but come right now we anticipate September, October, I might be a bit more on the road, but really it's mostly been between Alberta and Saskatchewan. So it's not, locking myself away. If I'm driving, maybe I can actually try and bring a 3D printer now, bring a bit of camera gear, and not have to risk spending $80 for check baggage for that. So, yeah, my hope is that the travel's settling down. There was just some volatility the past couple of weeks, and the old saying, when it rains, it pours. Well, my last business trip, with the rental car crisis, I took my truck and my fuel pump gave out on me on the way back. So, yeah, it's always one thing or another, and we just tough through it. But that's one of the items that caused further delays for us coming back on Sundays, and that if it's not a global pandemic, it's another bug as we all socialize and stuff again. So we've had just a spell of bad luck. That's all I can really cough it up to. No pun intended.
I want to point out Gary T just said something here that I thought was really cool. He says, just working on a 150-gram battle bot for next year and maybe an impromptu meetup this summer. I would be into an impromptu meetup this summer, yes. Now, what's up, buddy? Working on next video, DeWitt 3D at DeWitt 3D. Okay, that's Milan. I remember when I could afford to fuel a pickup truck. Yeah, but I know it has. I'm not going to go too much into the political aspect of it, but I will say this: that fuel prices are outrageous right now, and we're paying upwards of $2+ a liter, which works out to almost $7 a gallon, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's not cheap, and you can't get new cars, you can't get used cars, so you got to work with what you got. So. I work with the truck. A lot of the travel is business compensated, so it's not like I'm losing money. But yeah, every time I fill that truck right now is close to $200 for a fill up, and that will get me at best 2 weeks of commuting to work.
Well, my little car, which is a station wagon, and it's only a little four-banger, like there's nothing exciting about it, and it's a standard, so it should be really good on gas. I filled up recently. It cost me almost $100 to fill my tank, when previous to this huge inflation hike all over the place, it would cost me maybe $55 to fill my tank. So it's literally almost doubled since last summer.
Yeah, it's been horrible. See Morgan saying Costco's your friend for gas. Yes and no. The inherent issue, number one, is Costco is a little out of the way, except for one part of my morning commute. And number two, because of their great prices on gas right now, you have to be willing to budget up to half an hour waiting in the lines, and that's in off-peak hours. It's volatile. All I can tell you is I've seen across all of Alberta, all of Saskatchewan, the prices seem to be flat, and there's no real discounts to be had except for the Safeway fiasco that those of you who know what I'm talking about know why we're not going to talk anymore about that. But yeah, there's no cheap options, so we are not doing a road trip anytime soon for 3D printing. probably not flying either, judging by those prices. So we might be doing a lot of virtual meetups.
I think that's going to be part of it. We are going to try and get some local people. We want to do some interviews with some local people here in Calgary. Rapid 3D, which is a great 3D scanning service. I want to kind of go in and talk to them. We talked to them was it last year I talked to them, Brian? Did you remember?
It's midsummer there, and then of course we had volatility with the markets here. So
right.
we had some prelim work done with them, but just requires some follow-up.
So we will be doing something with them in the very near future. As you can see behind me, I have two printers. One is a Prusa Mark III S. There is also a multi-material unit available for that, which I have not built. And I didn't do a video on this just because it's been sitting on my shelf for so very long, and it was half built. So I just finally built it and got it out of the way. And then behind me is a CR-10 V3, which I'm doing quite a lot of work on. Actually, he was all printed on there except for the white pieces, which I printed on the Prusa so I could get them all done fairly fast. This guy took about a day and a half to print. I do want to rework him. Right now he's just using some low-cost MG90 servos, which are a metal gear servo. And the reason I chose metal gear over the plastic gears is because they'll last longer, and if we're taking him to events and we're going to be doing stuff with him, then we're going to be needing to have that wear resistance. So this was all printed in, of course, red and white PLA, and this will hold up fairly well. So yeah, this is a project I'm going to go into depth. I'm going to break it down. We're going to talk about the electronics. We're going to talk about the printing, and then I am going to be actually taking this and remaking him much larger using the servos and the controls from Easy Robot. And anybody that doesn't know who Easy Robot is, they are friends of ours for many years. And recently they gifted me with some parts to build a much bigger version of this that will be completely autonomous, and that should be a lot of fun. What else do we got here? Anyone else order Bamboo Labs X1 Carbon? I have not. I don't know too many people that have it right now. I've seen a number of videos about it, but I don't know too many people that have it. Brian?
I'm sorry, guys, but this you gotta stop backing stuff on Kickstarter. You know, everything I've seen, between the chip shortages and everything, I've followed. There was one printer group that I've been on Facebook for. I didn't even back it. I can't remember why I'm even in the group, but it's like a year delayed on delivery. Some of mine will never come that I backed 10 years ago, and I don't know. I feel like everybody promises this big game, and yet you're not going to see the printer for quite a while. I mean, I know that some other YouTubers have gotten units for review and stuff like that, but I don't know. I feel like you're almost better just to save your money, wait for it to go retail, and pay the 20% markup or whatever it is. Most of the 3D printers that are out and have been available for the last 2 to 3 years, they're pretty good machines. It's just, now we're getting into optimizing the speed and the efficiency of the print. But a good Ender 3 will print just as well as these machines, but it'll be a little slower. So I guess it depends on what you're targeting. And if you're a business, then you definitely shouldn't be buying your printers from Kickstarter.
Snapshot FPV is asking, what hot end on V number? On this particular Prusa, I believe it's got a E3D V6. It is the genuine Prusa version of the E3D V6. But if you're referring to the Voron, which I no longer have, I was forced to sell it, unfortunately, because we We just needed the money, and quite frankly, and at the end of the day, that one also had an E3D V6. I've been working with my good friend Peter Reynolds. He's been having some issues with his clockwork extruder. For some reason, things aren't lining up, and it's always getting jammed and stuck, so we are going to be doing some work with him in the very near future, and I'll probably document that. So that's something to hopefully that answered your question. DeWitt 3D Canada says, I'm taking a wait and see attitude on the X1, too much proprietary hardware and software. That seems to be the way some companies are rolling again, is they are taking this idea of, I want to keep it in-house because I don't want anybody to steal my designs per se. And if it's open source, that means anybody and everybody can build it, because you've made everything freely available to them online. And if you're using Marlin as your source code, that has to be available to the general public, because that source code is open source, and any changes that you make, and it says right in their terms of agreement for using it, is that if you're going to use it commercially, you have to make it available to your clientele so that if they have to, they can make changes to it. I'm not a big fan of closed source projects. I believe the RepRap project originally was open source. It was designed to be open source, and I believe that 3D printing, yes, I understand companies have to make money, but at the end of the day, I believe that 3D printing is one of those things that should be open source, and it's something that we can all learn from, as far as educating our kids and educating our family members and educating our friends. You know, we've taught people from 9 to 90 in 3D printing, and to be perfectly honest with you, I think because it is so open source, it's a lot more accessible. It's easier for us to train people and teach people about this wonderful hobby and the technology that goes along with it. We are transitioning here on the show a little bit to go more into a little bit more making. I've heard you guys. I know that you want to see not just 3D printing, because at the end of the day, I can tell you all the things that I do. Brian can tell you all the things that he does, and
Absolutely.
you can learn from that, certainly, but at the end of the day, we've taught 3D printing for the last 4.5 years. 4 years.
Give or take. Yeah.
Give or take. We've been teaching you. So now let's take all of that teaching and let's put it into practice. And we're going to show you more about Fusion 360 as we learn it. We're going to show you more about Tinkercad, how to take your idea from your head and get it into the practical world and be able to produce stuff like this, cases for your monitors to make them portable, things like that. So this is all stuff that Brian and I want to go forward with. We want to teach you how to use diode lasers. Hopefully that will spawn you into maybe moving up to a CO2 laser. Neither Brian and I have one. We want to teach you about desktop milling, because all of this kind of works together in the making community. And as a maker, and we're all makers, we have 3D printers, we're all makers. We're not just printers, we are makers. So there are people that supply us with files. There are people that design files. There are people that don't print their own stuff. And I think that with the advancements in what's happening out there, that we can certainly help you in your making journey a lot further than just with 3D printing. Brian?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, again, I really can't say it any better than that. 3D printing is a lot of fun, but I generally find it's a tool in my arsenal for creation. And that's kind of where we want to cover it, is that, you know, you can talk all day and night about printing figures, and if you're a person that's printing them for miniatures, that's great. For myself, I was always a mechanical person, so I design parts for implementation on things, not even prototyping, actually being final pieces. So the 3D printer is, again, a tool in that arsenal to achieve that. And so we don't want to neglect the other areas, because half the fun of 3D printing is showing how one of many tools basically creates this cool end product. Just like the robot here that Richard has. It's a model, and then we add electricity and so much more. And that's where we want to, not convert the entire thing into an insane maker channel that, the name The First Layer doesn't really mean as much as it once did. It's more about show you this whole picture and inspire you, now that we've taught you all the tools and all the skills to work with your printer, how to add that into your arsenal for a really cool project.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think that at the end of the day, there's so much out there that we can still learn about this hobby and hobbies that are connected to it. Again, Brian, you brought up the electronics part of it. That is, at some level, a part of this hobby. That's how you take your static 3D print and turn it into something even more. I've got robots behind me on the shelf. I've got Yoda back there, who's essentially a robot. I've got the R2-D2 that Brian that brought back to me from Disneyland when he went to Disneyland, and it's still. I actually had it out the other day upstairs in the living room, and I was playing with it, and my wife was like, "You need a lot more practice on operating that thing." So, it's making it is not just one thing. I'm a woodworker. I'm learning more about electronics. Can I build a 3D printer? Yes, of course I can. Can I build a computer from the ground up? Of course I can. Do I have to solder everything? No, because it's all plug and play. And that's where 3D printing has become. It's all plug and play. Yes, you've got to do a little bit of tweaking to the firmware, but essentially a 3D printer is a plug and play machine. Would you not agree?
It's getting there. There was a time where it wasn't, but I would do that. It really is it's still a hobbyist machine. It's still an industrial machine, but there's so much more refined, and that's kind of why I've been avoiding a lot of these Kickstarters. Is if you look at them, they're really kind of showcasing the fact, hey, we've managed to put a clean case on something. But you could do that to an Ender. You could do that to really any printer. It's all about the flashiness sometimes for people. And, companies like Formlabs and stuff, where they once really had a competitive offering at $3,000 or whatever they are. Now it's really just a fancier looking machine because the hobbyist stuff has caught up.
There's a few interesting comments here. One was asking, Snapshot was asking, what's the hot end on the V3? It is, the one that I have is an E3D V6 clone. It's the Creality version. It is not the official version. I could have got it with the official version for, I think, about $100 more, but I decided that I didn't need it, to be perfectly honest with you. Morgan says he'd love to see robotic builds from design to usage, and we are going to be covering that. That's going to be a multi-part thing. Functional parts, Ben Beatty says, which I think is really cool. Gary T says, tools in my arsenal for making. I need to put that on a shirt. Yes, maybe we can do that, actually.
Absolutely.
Snapshot says, for me, taking something I see in my mind, designing in a CAD program, and running it into a real object, that's the fun. And that, again, goes right into exactly what we've been talking about today. Dominic Rossetto says, I'm a designer, or I'm not a designer, I'm an editor. And when you take somebody's STLs and you edit them, it's kind of, it gives you that sense of making as well. Then you can print them off and it suits exactly what you wanted it to do. Mike Brown says 3D printing has really opened up my creative possibilities. I'm so glad I took that step to buy my Ender 3 Pro. And it's exactly the same way for a lot of people. Years and years ago, I can't remember if it was Bill Gates or it was Steve Jobs who said that one day there will be a computer in every home. And I think we're there because we have so many electronic devices that are computerized in our homes that we do have computers in our homes, from our TVs to our refrigerators to our microwave ovens. And I think 3D printing is going to be that sort of step. One day there will be some sort of desktop manufacturing device in every home. So whether you're trying to do something for your counter, whether you want to make coasters. Here's a good example. I mean, these are just coasters that we purchased the tile, we put a cork back on, and all this is cut vinyl. That's all it is. And these are, I love these, actually. I do have to get you one of these, Brian. But I do love these, and I have to get some to Tim as well, because I do have some DeWitt coasters that Tim gave me. But yeah, I think these are definitely all part of making. I mean, with a vinyl cutter and a laser engraver and all kinds of different things, those possibilities are open so much further, especially for me as a woodworker. Brian and I are working on doing a fan film. We're in the pre-production stage or pre-design stage of it for next year's May the 4th. So yes, it is going to be Star Wars centric. Yes, it is going to be funny. We have a good friend of mine who is involved in film, who's helping us out with the script and is going to help us out with a lot of our camera work. We have all the things that we're doing, and this is also going to lead up to episodes that we're doing based on the things that we're building. One of our plans is to build a motorized camera gimbal, six-axis camera gimbal. I saw a gentleman online who had designed this. It all works with stepper motors and Arduino, and it's very simple to use and very simple to program, but the shots that you can get from it are absolutely amazing. So I thought that would work for a good project, a good long-term project. So you're going to see episodes that are coming out that are going to be parts of larger episodes as we go through. Brian's got some stuff that he wants to do with his mill. I know he's still learning a little bit more about it before he actually does a video, right?
Sure, let's go with that. As in, I need to take it out of a bucket and actually do something again. I need room, but I'm busy in a very large construction project right now. So
yes,
until that is complete, space is a limitation.
Here's a man that we have to sit down with and talk online and get him on the show. Our good friend, the real Sam Prentice. We are going to be doing an interview with him sometime in the very near future. We haven't set it up yet, but Sam has already agreed to come on our show and be a part of it. And yes, Sam, we were talking Star Wars. We're going to be doing something Star Wars, so we may need your input as well. What else? Speak of the devil, yes, Matt Gurman says, speak of the devil, Sam Prentice is here. And Sam, for anybody that doesn't know who Sam is that's watching this after the show and is not part of the live stream today, Sam is a Star Wars fanatic, more so than I am, and he builds real droids using 3D printing, and they're amazing. And I can't tell you how much his stuff just blows my mind, because I've got the half-scale droid that I have started and have not gotten back to, but that is a project that we're going to finish. Tim has said to me how we can actually make a robot that serves us drinks. So that's something over at DeWitt 3D that we're going to be talking about. And in our booth next year, you're going to see at Maker Faire a lot of practical projects. I want to take one of these and make a classic television style entertainment unit. There is I found it yesterday, and as soon as I found it, and I'll tell you guys what it is, it's the Orbitel from Panasonic from 1971. It looks like a space helmet. And then the original had a 5-inch black and white screen. This one will have a 7-inch screen in it, but I also want to put in one of these, and you guys are going, what the hell is that? Well, for those that are young and don't know, this is a CD reader and writer. Can also play DVDs in it. And I've had this sitting around for God knows how long. You can still buy these, I think, can't you, Brian?
Of course you can there. I think they're up to some kind of, well, I think LightScribe went off the market, but I think we're still limited to Blu-ray, DVD, CD down from that.
Yeah, this one only does DVDs. It doesn't do Blu-rays. But I thought I could incorporate this into the Orbitel, the Panasonic Orbitel design, and add a Raspberry Pi to it, so it would have even more functionality than just being something that played back videos. You could play video games on it. You could do, you could plug in a network. You could go surfing on the web with it. So I'm trying to find ways to incorporate stuff like this into it and make it a really interesting piece for next year. And the bulk of it is 3D printed. The only thing that isn't, of course, is the electronics. But I recently built a servo tester so I could test servos. Now I have to get all of that into a case. And yes, I know, I could have went out and bought a servo tester, which I don't really need to because I have one. It's in a box somewhere in that room, where there's a lot of things in that room.
That's the common theme this year, it seems.
So my wife and I have been working on our house to pare down a lot of the stuff that we have. And just this past week, I really got down, and you can see that the studio is somewhat clean today, which it hasn't been for a very long time. It got very chaotic, and I just didn't want to be down here because it was just, my anxiety was getting crazy. But yes, and then we've got things like this, which we've got to find something to do. Wise was really kind and sent out some of their Wise cams to me just to try out, see what I thought. They didn't ask me to do any videos. They also sent me their watch, which I'm not wearing today. But I have one of these Wise cams watching my front yard, and this one's always down in the studio. Brian knows a little bit more about the Wise cams than I do, so we're going to be relying on him a little bit.
I've got my pants somewhere around here. I've got V3s all the place. I've tried third-party cameras. I've got everything.
There we go.
I do like. Oh, here's the pan right in front of me. You want to?
Oh, okay. That's the pan and tilt one.
Yeah, this is the pan and tilt version 1. I haven't got the version 2 yet. I actually wanted to hold off because, for those of you who don't know, the version 3 cameras, these are the old version 2. What Richard has is version 3. They have this starlight sensor in there that does color night vision, and the image quality is leaps and bounds ahead of the V2s. So these are more legacy models for hacking and doing horrible things on them.
We're also going to be doing some home automation projects using 3D printing and electronics and Raspberry Pis and things like that. If you saw our booth at Maker Faire this year, you would have seen the beginnings of a HAL 9000 that I have been printing and trying to put together. I'm going to be doing a whole setup where it is home automation set into it, so it'll have one of these screens that we talked about, and then we'll go from there. So all these kinds of things, I think, are all part of what this channel really speaks to, as far as making goes and 3D printing goes. And by sprinkling in little things like electronics, woodworking, and milling, and all of the other little things that go along with 3D printing. I think it's going to give you guys a richer experience with our channel, and I hope that you'll stick around and stay a part of our family and keep watching and keep letting us know what you want to see. Let's take a look at some of the catching up on the chat. Sorry, Brian Make Stuff says. Shaggy Man, let me see what he says. Let's try again. He says, I'm about to replace my TiVo Tornado, and I'm wondering which printer to choose with bed leveling and same print area. The TiVo Tornado, I believe, is a 300 by 300 by 400 build volume. You can buy the CR-10 V3 with the Creality bed leveling sensor. I'm going to be doing a much deeper dive on bed leveling sensors in the very near future, because I think that's a thing that we really need to talk about, because there's so many misconceptions about it. People want to put it on and just set it and forget it, and unfortunately that's not the way that it's done. So I am going to be doing a video on it. I do have to add one to my CR10 back here, so I will do that, and we'll discuss how that is and why it doesn't work like a lot of people think that it should. Upgrade and improve. Okay, upgrade and improve. He says, I own 4 3D printers and I want to learn how to build my own. I know how they work, but want to make a machine. Any recommendations for that? Yes. We have talked about building your own quite a bit over the last 4.5 years. But I have a whole bunch of parts, and I'm talking boards, power supplies. Speaking of power supplies, I have 4 of these, and these are the LRS 350 24 volts. I think I have one of these which is a 12 volt as well, but these are the Meanwell power supplies, and I have some generic power supplies as well. So this is where everything starts, and then you build from there. And we've got boards, we've got beds, we've got extrusion. So I figured, let's take all of that stuff and let's build our own custom 3D printer, from design through to execution, through to making our first print. If that's something you guys are really interested in, we'd love to hear your thoughts on it. And we're going to just use stuff that we have. We're not going to go out and buy anything new. We're going to use hot ends that we have. We're going to use electronics that we have, and go from there. Right, Brian?
You know it. Everything's custom. That's the only way to make it fun.
Yeah, exactly. Everything's custom. And we'll break down a parts list in case you want to build one yourself. But we're going to be using just spare crap that we have kicking around. I just realized the other day that I have 7 Raspberry Pis in this house, and they're not being utilized for anything. So we're going to be using up some Raspberry Pis. We're going to talk a little bit more about Octoprint, AstroPrint. We'll do a comparison between all of those, including Mainsail, and there's another one out there as well. All this stuff is in the works, and it is coming throughout the rest of the year. For the next 6 months, we're going to be very busy. We've got a show coming out this Wednesday. Catch my first real episode of 5 Minute Friday, which is part of the Filaments.ca Presents over on the Filaments.ca YouTube channel. That's going to be coming up. And that's going to be, those shows will be coming out bi-weekly, so every 2 weeks there'll be a new episode. Our show is going to be really helping you guys 3 weeks out of the month. We are going to be doing our projects, and then the last show of every month on the last Wednesday of every month will be a 3D printer update, and we're going to go out and scour the web. My wife has been doing that, scouring the web for news stories that we can bring to you guys and just kind of open your eyes a little bit more to what's out there in case you don't know, and what we think is cool. We're going to have a project of the week, and we're going to break a bunch of stuff down for you, so that, and give you links, and you can go out and check all these out. And I was inspired. Okay, I'm stealing the idea from Maker Update, and that was kind of the inspiration for it. And I think that it's going to broaden everybody's horizons, and just give you other places to look for interesting ideas for maybe your next project. Snapshot FPV says, a build, just junk drawer? What, that would be fun to see. Only junk drawer, nothing purchased.
I have a unfair advantage on that. I have a feeling.
Oh, why is that?
Oh, well, just all the, what do you consider junk? I've got a lot of it. So,
well, you know, I have boxes of junk drawer stuff. I have chunks of extrusion. I have beds, 24-volt beds around here. We're going to just build something. I think that's a really good series to do, and it may be the one that takes the longest, but we are going to gather up all of our parts. I'm going to start going through stuff here in the next week, and we're going to gather up all the parts, and we're going to build a 3D printer from the junk drawer.
let's do it.
All right. It looks like you guys are into that. We got about 10 minutes left in our show. I want to thank you guys all for being a part and coming back and spending your Sunday afternoon with us. We are back doing this every Sunday afternoon. We are going to be doing it again at 12 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Just so you guys have an update. We've been talking about having a roundtable at the end of every month, the last Sunday of every month, having a roundtable where we invite some of our makers from the community in and talking about 3D printing projects they're working on, kind of a little show and tell, showing off what they've been printing, what they've been working on. And I know Brian's really busy, so Brian may be with us every Sunday and may not be with us every Sunday, but I know he's working hard. So go ahead, tell him a little bit about your schedule, Brian.
Well, I mean, it's just been fairly busy with, as I said, a lot of this construction around the place here. So it's just been volatile. Things were supposed to be done June 30th. It's taking a little longer. So we will get there, but unfortunately it does bounce up and down. Now, work, like job-wise, my weekends are better now. So we have that at least. But we will... it'll be a little last minute for the next few months. I'm hoping to get a bit more consistency than that, but forewarning, no guarantee I'll be on the episode every single week. But it's not for the sake of trying. I'm not trying. Words are hard. I have gone up to karaoke last night for the first time in several months, and I'm a little sleepy and a little hungover, so...
Oh... Yeah, we've got a lot coming up, and Brian's going to be with us, and Brian's going to try and produce some episodes as well. It is really kind of falling on my shoulders for the most part, but I know that he's going to try and do some stuff that way. We didn't get a ton of coverage over at our Maker Faire this year, just because I got to tell you, our booth was busy.
Holy crap. Was it?
You know, for being kind of out of the picture since late last year, to making our first real appearance in public, it was a nightmare. It was a fun nightmare, but it was a nightmare because not only were we presenting our booth and talking about 3D printing with people, and we made a lot of great contacts at this year's event, but I was also emceeing. So anytime there was somebody that was going to do a talk, I was introducing them and that kind of thing. And there was a talk about every hour throughout the day. So we're working on that schedule a little bit. Brian and I will be back again next year. We may need some help in our booth. So anybody that's interested in volunteering to be a part of our booth next year, we can't pay you, but we can probably buy you lunch. And we're going to we're doing something bigger and better next year. I'm working on trying to get some guests to come out from the maker community. People I've had interactions with over the years. Brian is pretty much going to be in charge of our booth next year because I'm going to be out doing interviews and running around like a chicken with my head cut off. So we have a lot of great content for you for next year's Maker Faire. Happy to fill in the co-host, Morgan says. Post if you need. We will definitely reach out to you, Morgan, if that is something that we need. Shaggy Man 1, he says, junk drawer? He says, I have a drunk room. And then, of course, he corrected that and made a junk room. I prefer the drunk room over the junk room. I don't know how you feel about that.
Too, because this is me in the drunk room.
let me just get that whole picture up. Hang on. This is too much. There we go.
You guys, going through After Dark is amazing because all the animals are just burnt out. So for those of you who missed the other one at the top of the hour, here was the gorilla getting ready to go to bed. And I felt a little triggered. I felt like I should have been in the cage more than them.
That's the way I feel every morning. He rubs his eyes exactly like I do. He kind of looks like me in the morning too.
Yeah, I was actually, you know what? I've got this other photo, and I realized that the apes kind of look like early CGI models.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! But you know, we're trying, and we want to. We definitely want to have you guys be a part of it. And for anybody that doesn't know, that I gotta quickly talk about this. We got 4 minutes left. I gotta quickly talk about this. One of my early production companies was called Naked Ape Productions, and that ape brings back so many memories for me. Because there is a little guy over there on the shelf who was our mascot for that company, and it is a little monkey, actually, a little ape. So we can't use the name anymore not because of legal reasons, but because too many people think that we're a porn company. So we had to change it to Cleveland Media Group, and well, we're there. So.
Oh, God. I mean, we could bring it back. It's just I don't think we'd get the audience retention.
No, that's true. Snapshot FPV says, Richard, Brian, so good to see you both. I was afraid the channel, a channel I have been watching for so long, was dead. Thank you, and whatever. Ha. You know, it is. We are back. We did have to take a little break, unfortunately, and I want to thank you guys all for your support during that time, for both myself and for Brian, because it really meant a lot to us, and that really helped inspire us to get over that hump and come back and start doing the live streams again and start producing content again for you guys. So there is still some changes that are going on in this studio. The room that we are in right now is going to be our complete hobby room. We are moving the studio to another room in our home, just so that I don't fill up my desks anymore with projects I'm working on and then have big piles of stuff around me, and I get anxiety. The studio will be the studio and editing room only. There will be no projects done in there. All the projects will be done in this room, and we'll just bring a camera in when we need to film. But we do have a lot of great things coming, and we're going to take you behind the scenes on our little Star Wars film at some point. We are using 3D printed models. We're going to see how good that we can make them, and how camera ready we can make them for doing our filming. We've got, like I said, the 6-axis gimbal we're working on printing. We've got robots we're doing, CNCing, laser engraving and cutting. We have to build a set as well for our little film. So I've been doing a lot of research and gathering pictures for that. We have to build a droid of some sort. So if you guys have any ideas of what kind of droid you'd like to see us build, whether that be something based on the Maker Faire design, because this film really is for two purposes: one, to promote Maker Faire, and two, to promote robotics, 3D printing, and a few other things. So we'll talk about it. Whatever you guys think we should do, we're happy to entertain the idea. Ben Brady says, yep, about 12 years ago. Yes, Naked Ape Productions actually started way more than 12 years ago. Naked Ape Productions was started way back in Winnipeg before I moved here, long before I moved here. So I've had that company for, I owned that name, and I still own the name. But the company was actually started in 2001, 2002, I want to say. So it's about 20 years old. So, Ben Stanley's asking, first layer, are you using resin or FDM for your Star Wars short film? A little bit of both, actually. We're going to be using resin. We're going to be using FDM. We're going to be using laser cutting. We're going to be using milling. We're going to be, you name it, we're probably going to be using it. So we're going to take advantage of all the tools that we have, and we're going to be doing that. So UBG Princess Leia's droid. Oh, you're talking about the little droid that she has in the Obi-Wan show? I believe that's called Lola. And my wife is after me to make a Lola. Yes, so we probably will make a Lola. Yeah, Ben, you and I have been friends for that long. We have been friends for a very, very long time. So your friendship means a great deal. So yeah, so Lola, we are going to do a Lola droid at some point. I'm looking for files now. If I can design it, I will. My first big project for design is doing the Orbital TV from Panasonic, so that I can make it a complete little entertainment system that you can take anywhere and use anywhere. And that'll probably make an appearance in our little film as well. I have no doubt, just because it is cool. Anybody that hasn't seen the Panasonic Orbital portable television, look it up online, and this thing is freaking amazing. It looks like an old 50s style space helmet is what it looks like, and it's amazing. So we want to thank you guys all. Thank you, Snapshot. Thank you, Shaggy Man, Gary, everybody. I'm sorry we didn't answer a ton of questions today, but we did want to kind of bring you up to speed on what is coming in the very near future and what our plans are for the channel. And we're so glad that you guys were here with us. And Brian, I want to thank you for being back in the fold. I couldn't really do this show without you, to be perfectly honest. And I'm glad that you're back, and I'm sure our audience is glad that you're back as well. And let's just keep moving forward, guys. Remember that the first layer is always your foundation to a great print, and we are going to keep you informed about what's happening with the channel as we go forward. So watch for a new episode coming this Wednesday. Not going to be a very long episode. We're going to do an introduction to a project, but and then catch me every second Friday over on the filaments.ca, where I talk about their products, and I talk about things that you can do to improve your 3D printing experience. So there we go. That's it. Brian, anything you want to close out with?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I'm not used to talking this much anymore, so I'm like, oh boy, here we go. Oh, it was good. No, it was good chatting with everybody again. Just like with Maker Faire with everybody, saying how good it was to see us. It's good to see all of you as well. And we're gonna just keep this ball rolling while the getting's good, as I guess we say.
Yeah, you bet. You bet. For all of our friends that are down in the U.S., happy 4th of July. I hope that you're out barbecuing, you're on the beach, you're tailgating, whatever you do on the 4th of July, even if you're just sitting back and having a cold one in the backyard with your feet in the kiddie pool, watching your fireworks go off. Happy Independence Day to all of our friends in the U.S. And for all of our friends here in Canada and around the world, thank you for being a part of our show, and we look forward to seeing you. Sam, I have to get in touch with you. Don't let me forget. And we will talk to you guys next Sunday right here on the First Layer. So, bye.
Bye-bye.
And we're out.